I just don't do that.
So, Auntie, I have my camera rolling. So, I realized that we haven't done an interview with you about your life growing up.
Oh. Okay. Not that exciting. Well, I was raised by my aunt,
Okay.
Miss Ricoffrey. So I I still had my mother. I just live with my aunt. You know, she just raised me. Yeah.
Why did that happen?
Mm-hmm. I don't think it was any well.
Can I talk?
Mm-hmm.
Are you going to stop?
Go ahead. Go ahead.
So,
Dolores' mother and father married, and they had Dolores.
right.
And then they separated. The mother became interested in another person, Sergeant. That is the father of her other 3 sisters. So her father remarried Lillian, and they had 4 kids. And her mother married Donald, Sergeant, and they had 3 girls, Sharon, Donalda, and Diana.
So, you stayed with your aunt because your mother remarried?
Pretty much. Mm-hmm.
Again, the story is Donald did not want to have a child of another man in his house.
Ah.
That's not true.
Oh.
Because we have, since he died, and she had an Aunt Gloria, and Aunt Gloria did photo albums and that sort of stuff, and has provided us the information for a family tree. And she has pictures of Donald with Dolores on the beach, in the apartment area, wherever it was. She was there. And Donalda, Sharon, and Diane often talked about when Dolores came, they got sort of pushed to the side. So I don't think the story about his not wanting another person's child there was a good one, because you clearly see him with that other person's child.
Huh. How do you remember it? Or is it something that you never talked about?
I never thought about it. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So you grew up with your aunt.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I knew my mother, you know, but my aunt pretty much raised me. So, yeah.
Where?
In the Bronx, in New York. Mm-hmm.
Oh, BX.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Why do I keep thinking that you're Southern, like Louisiana or something like that?
Oh, well, we stayed in New Orleans for a while, but you know, we were in New York pretty much. You know. So,
Her aunt and uncle were from New Orleans.
yeah.
Okay.
And that's where their family came or originated from. And at some point they went back to New Orleans, and that's how Dolores ends up at Dillard and school there. And then they went back to New York.
You went to school in New Orleans.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what was school like during that time? Because I mean, you know, your grandchildren is different now. But
Well, it wasn't really. Well, let me see. I don't think it was as prejudiced as, you know, they would make it out to be, but it was at times, you know. So,
The neighborhood school was PS 63.
Okay, public school 63.
Mm-hmm.
So that's in BX.
The Bronx.
That's in the
Yeah.
Bronx,
Mm-hmm.
yes.
Right, because I was in PS 262 in Brooklyn, New York. What was 23 like? PS, your elementary school. I guess you would have gone to elementary, middle, and high in the BX.
Yeah.
What was the Bronx like during that time period?
Well, there was some prejudice. So you kind of got used to it, but there definitely was some.
Did you like your teachers?
My teachers? Yeah, for the most part. I mean, they didn't. At times, they would treat you differently. Like. But I guess that was just, because you were different, But pretty much, But,
How did they treat you different? Did they not give you extra milk or something, or?
No, not like that. They. I don't know.
All right.
She finished Walton High School
Yeah.
in 1968.
Wow, you keep up with everything. I love it.
I know. I don't need to say anything.
He's a spokesperson. 1967?
68.
Yeah.
You finished high school in 68.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I was born in 68.
Oh, wow.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
And so you finished high school in the BX?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I ain't have no face planting. No face planting.
Interesting. So what did you decide to do after you graduated from high school?
Well, I taught school.
Right out of high school?
Not right out, but let me see, what did I do?
You got a BA or BS
Yeah.
from Hunter College,
So I was still going to school.
and you then worked
Yeah.
as a teacher in one of the nursery places. Early childhood education.
And see, and that's the realm I think about. When I think of Auntie Delores, I think about you and little kids.
Mm-hmm.
Has that always been her niche?
Pretty much so, yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh, thank you.
Yeah, that was pretty much it.
Yeah.
And at points that I was unemployed,
Wait,
at
what?
one place, Dolores was director of the center, and we couldn't let them know that I was there. And eventually they found out, of course, I had to quit. But, yeah.
Wait,
It was always early childhood.
Wait. You were unemployed.
Well, yes, I was
Okay.
unemployed. And
And
Dolores
so
was director of
She
the...
hired you.
Yes.
Well, he needed somewhere
How
to
did
work.
that change the dynamics of the relationship?
It wasn't too bad.
Interesting.
Well, let's see, I have so many stories. One of the stories that I like to tell about that experience was, so when they let me go from where she was, I went to work for a school down in Manhattan, and the director of the school, in hiring me, made us operate on our knees, because that's where the kids were.
Operate on your knees.
That is, go through the classroom on your knees.
Yeah, preschool.
Preschool. And
You had to crawl across the building.
that was because the kids are down there, and we are these big, tall statues, and the kids are down here. So
In the classroom.
in the classroom. So for about a week, I had to do the classroom on my knees, where the kids were.
Sounds to me like they were pledging you.
No, you get used to it.
So during that time, was Auntie in charge?
No.
This was a different school.
Okay.
Different school.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
You might also in that connection, Eugene had gone to something in New York called Joytown Day School, and we opened in one of the elementary schools in 1981. It went from 1981 to 1986. It was at Glen Allen Elementary School, a before and after care center, and Dolores was director. And when sometimes she couldn't get substitutes, I would come in and work. You know.
You two have always really been a team.
Yeah.
Yeah, for the most part.
And then
Except when you were in charge, right?
No, I wasn't really that mean.
Now this was really a business. It was like kitty care or something similar to that. We were incorporated and that sort of stuff. And then in '86, Dolores got a job with Montgomery County Public Schools and Head Start, and we closed the center.
Oh, so this was a business that you two actually owned.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It was called Georgetown.
Yeah.
I never thought of you as being entrepreneurial. Wow.
Yeah. It was. We call it a slush fund. It was better if you paid cash.
Yeah.
I guess the statute of limitations is up now, so you can talk about it.
Yeah, but Dolores was director.
How many kids did you have in your program?
There were 20
Well,
kids.
about 20,
And
yeah,
we'd
about 20.
enroll anywhere from 22 to 25. That's to cover the kids who were out sick and nose running and all that. And you tell them to take their kids home and keep them at home until they clear out.
Okay, so what would happen if all the kids were healthy that day? Would you have? Was it like a challenge to have?
You never had all the kids
No.
there. You never had all the kids there. And the incorporation said that you could have 20 kids in the class, and we'd do 25 to 26. Illegal.
Yeah.
Okay, so it was illegal. Okay. Whew.
Yeah.
You don't.
But we ran that
you don't,
center
You don't
6
tell people
years.
about it. You know?
It's too late now.
I know. Right? Well,
You ran that for 6 years.
Yep.
mm-hmm.
So I'm thinking, Walt, that might be the source of your entrepreneurial spirit.
I remember making up a Joytown song for Mom once.
A what?
Making up a
He
song.
said he
Oh, a
made up a
song?
song for you.
Oh yeah.
Well, after that, there was a period. I was trying to think of what I would do after I retired, and one was to sell real estate. So I went to Philip Wheatley. This was a weekend thing, but I learned to do all of that stuff with flipping houses and all of that. And how would you get the money? American Express would give you a $150,000 credit card. One weekend, that was the assignment to get one of those. I did have one of those. Never used it, and when they dropped it from 150, it went to 6,000. I still have that card, and in fact, I just said to the Dolores last week that I was going to cancel it. I don't figure I need to do anything else that I need to have good credit scores and that sort of stuff.
Well, you never know.
Intriguing. Did you have any other businesses?
No.
No.
Actually, now I'm remembering that you did own a daycare center.
Dickerson.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The only other time we tried at that was when we were at 2118 Grand Avenue in the Bronx. We brought maybe 2016, and we never got to the renovation stage with it. But we owned it, and we were eventually able to sell it.
So you did your first flip then?
Yeah.
Did you use your credit card to do that flip?
No, I learned to do all that stuff later. and how to follow up on things. I worked with a guy who sold us actually he didn't sell us the townhouse. He helped us sell the townhouse. The townhouse we bought for 78.5 maybe. We sold it for 275,000.
The one that was up in this Northern Virginia area, right?
Well, it was 4 miles north of where we live now. And at that time, Eugene had just got married to Charisse, and we thought we'd give it to them. And they'd just pick up the mortgage on it. And she didn't think it was a place that they wanted to live. But that would have been their first house. So I always thought that I could do real estate. Brian Smith was his name. He was the guy that I was sort of palling around with, and he was selling houses, and we bought something for 400 and sold it for 800, that kind of stuff.
Whoa. Were you the first in the family to do real estate?
I don't know that anybody else has done this,
Yeah, probably.
or anyone else that studied to do it. I should have gotten out of education and gone into making real money.
But you're still Uncle Moneybuck, so you did something right.
I think I was making about 96 or 97,000 when I retired from the state ed department.
And
But
what year
I was
that?
hiring people that made 120.
What year was that?
2007. In fact, that was I threatened to go to EEOC about that, because I had to hire people that made more money than I did, and I'm their essentially boss. The thing that got me into that arena was that I did a lot of things for the state superintendent, and I did speeches. I went to cocktail sips. I sit on the governor's advisory board for homelessness. I sit on the advisory board for when Katrina kids came to Maryland. I'd done that year in Washington, 78, 79, as a policy fellow, and had my year in Washington as a policy fellow was at the level of looking at programs that were being done for youth development in terms of employability development. And so when I went to the state of Maryland, they had just gotten a grant for comprehensive employment and training, and that was based on, they hired me based on the stuff that I did on the Hill under the Institute for Educational Leadership. Ford Foundation funded. I was paid through George Washington University, but I was on the payroll at Medgar Evers College in Brooklyn, New York. And that job in Brooklyn, New York was because your father, there was a woman named Amara Corsi who was just in love with Samuel Varner. I was Samuel Varner's brother. And her girlfriend,
Can you talk about this part? You never get slapped, are you? I know I
her
would.
girlfriend was the dean of continuing ed at Medgar Evers College, and that's how I got the job. I was paid through the City University Research Corporation.
So you got the job because the director had a crush on my father.
Well, Amara Corsi had the crush.
Oh.
And Amara Corsi couldn't say anything greater than A++++ for your dad. And I'm having trouble now remembering the dean's name at Medgar Evers. It depended on what I was doing as to what title I used. And in payroll, I was assistant 2, you know. but they didn't even have a line for that. That's how I became assistant dean of continuing ed. But they didn't have a line for that. For money purposes, it was assistant to the dean, not assistant dean. But anything that represented the college, I had to do. The mayor's office or any of that stuff in city of New York, I was assistant dean, depending on the audience that I was dealing with.
So, Auntie, with Unc doing all of these things, how did you manage? Because I've always kind of known that Unc did a lot of different things. How'd you keep, I mean, like, when did you cross? When did you cross Sigma Gamma Rho?
1963.
Yeah, 63, I think. 63.
Yeah, 63.
Okay.
We got married in 65.
Okay. Were you still scarred from the pledge process when you got married?
No, not really.
Because in the 60s, y'all pledged. Yeah.
Yeah, right.
No,
Well, I
was
was
an attractive, pretty girl,
Yeah,
and
and I was
therefore
kinda
she didn't
submissive,
do a
so-
lot of that stuff. She was Miss Personality.
Yeah.
and did
Oh,
a
so you entertained the big sisters?
Well, I I wasn't mean. I mean, I didn't, you know, I mean.
Wow. So what was? Did you have a line name and did you have a line number?
I don't remember.
Okay.
I'm sure I did.
Why did you choose Sigma Gamma Rho?
Well, I liked the way that they were, some of the activities that they were doing, and actually the Sigmas were nice to me, you know. I mean, they were.
Okay.
And so, you know, I enjoyed the things that they were doing, and so that helped, you know.
Okay.
Yeah.
So was that in college or did you
Yeah.
cross grad? Okay, you crossed undergrad. So what was undergrad life like after you crossed?
Oh, what was undergrad on?
Busy? Were you busy? Did it keep you busy?
Oh yeah. But I was, you know, kind of submissive, so I, you know, they didn't beat me up, right? You know.
So they said do it and you just did it. Help plan this party. Okay, planning the party.
Yeah. Pretty much. Yeah.
What was it like being a mother to Walt?
I can go out of the room for this party if you want.
Oh. He didn't do anything. I'm sorry.
Yes, sir.
I mean, you get kudos. You stayed married to Unc and you raised Walt. You're a strong woman there.
Well, the truth of the matter is, there's a cousin named Maddie Benford. Maddie came to us when he was about 3 months old, and Maddie stayed until he was 3 or 4. And Maddie did all of that. We never did potty training or any of that crap, you know?
Oh.
I just look like I did all that, but I didn't do it.
I mean, but I remember things you did do. So, for example, like when I lost my jelly bean on Orchard Beach, and I was so messed up over losing my jelly bean, you comforted me on that. And we took the bus home, and then you found some random guy on the bus who was willing to give me a piggyback ride all up the street. Now, for those of you that are not familiar with where we lived in New York City, we lived in the Bronx near an intersection called 181st and Grand. And that was near Jerome and Burnside.
Wait.
I'm going to get to that in a
You
second.
were where?
We were on 181st and Grand.
Okay.
We were on Grand Avenue, but near 181st and Grand, near Jerome and Burnside. And I say that so for people that are familiar with the geography of New York City, Jerome and Burnside are down here, and our street is up here. So my man carried me up like 4 blocks, a steep hill, to get us in the house. Some random guy she met on the bus that day because I was hurt
He wasn't
about my jelly
random.
bean.
His name was Frank Brown.
Wasn't
Okay.
remembering.
Oh, should I cut the camera off? I should cut
How
the
many
camera off.
years since you remembered that name?
Frank was a Navy person with some mental situations. He introduced us to Nina Simone, but he would do anything if Dolores fed him. So Dolores would feed him. And he would babysit Eugene.
Wow.
I remember all the
Whatever it
names
takes.
of those guys. What you will do what
But he
for my
didn't.
wife?
He didn't ask me anything to do
For
anything.
food.
You're right.
That was some good cooking.
Oh, yeah. I say so.
Whew. All right, so we'll do part 2 later.
I mean, Johnny talks about. I was in the hiring ed program here, American Institute of Banking, and Johnny failed the GED 3 or 4 times. And the program ended, and by this time we were in love with Johnny in the sense of this kid that we were helping. So I said to him he could come to the house on Saturdays, and either Dolores or I would help him with this stuff. He's going to pass the GED. Well, Johnny eventually did pass. He went to the community college. He enrolled in architectural design and all that. He ended up working for the Board of Ed. And
So was Dolores cooking for him as well?
no. Oh, Dolores, I just spilled some more water on you. But in any case, it was the raisin bread.
And then he pour it on this
So
side.
when I retired, Johnny writes a letter to the state about the raisin bread. It's somewhere.
Not about what you did, but the raisin bread.
Well, he had come to the house on a Saturday and he had raisin bread. And he's like 18 or 19 years old and he had never had raisin bread. And he writes a story about this. And it's in those papers that I had for the 80th birthday. I don't know where they're somewhere there. But it talks about those raisin bread.
So you've been fighting off men from Dolores for a long time.
Not really.
But no, Johnny, you were off the camera. Johnny, at that time, was living somewhere in Brooklyn.
Right.
And we just sort of took him on. He was pimping their townhouse in Brooklyn.
Right.
That they bought for $110,000 for $2 million.
Oh, he was really pimping. He was pimping.
Okay. He now lives in Vegas. He bought a $950,000 house with a swimming pool and all that. And Johnny is still my son. I sent him a son-father's card. Should we come inside?
Yeah, let's go inside.
Egypt. And that's where we saw the Valley of the Kings, King Tut's grave. His body is still there. All the others have been removed, and they're in the museum in Cairo. But all the stuff that was in his is also in the museum in Cairo, and we were there. The first Jewish synagogue is there. They have something called the Hanging Church. I don't remember what that was about.
The hanging church?
Okay.
I don't know if it was suspended or what. There was just so much to see. But Israel Sanchez is in San Antonio. And we sent him a Christmas card, and he just got it a couple of weeks ago.
Here we are in July.
Yeah, we sent the Christmas card, but they adopted a child. At the time of the tour.
Oh, they're not opening their mail.
Yeah. So he called us to let us know that he had just gotten it. And I said, okay, he does what I do. When you get 70 or 80 Christmas card or more, you don't open the darn things.
Right.
You sit them there and you sit them there, and eventually you go through them.
Oh,
So,
by the way, thank you for the Christmas card you sent us in 2022.
Oh, you are bad.
Hey,
Well, you know, we write letters, and we have 15 or 20 people that write us letters. And
Yeah.
so you just sort of say, okay, they wrote, you sit it there, and then I just went through some of those cards.
Gotcha.
Yeah.